Hello, this is Stephanie, and again, you have reached my channel, Saving with Stephanie J. I thought that it would be fun. I'm sitting in my car, alone in the dark. Do you hear the outside cricket noises? Really am outside. I thought that I would do a continuation of part 2 on the video I posted about last week, a scary bedtime story for October 1st. So if you hadn't watched it, I'm going to link it down below. Be sure to stop, go watch it, and then come back and watch this. Okay, this thought it'd be a little bit fun. Just doing this for Halloween. But I will warn you, toward the end of this story, it's a little bit gory. So, it's not hideously gory, but just, if you don't want to watch it, that's okay. Click out. And if you remember, this young man had gone into the dark web. And so the first of this was called I Wasn't Careful Enough on the deep web. So it starts out, John says, I was extremely rattled by what had happened. The police tried to track down the website, but since there was no way of them to recover my history, and I had finally had a site, just found it by randomly clicking links, it seemed pretty hopeless to find it. The police told me to change all of my information about myself and move in with a friend. After changing just about everything, I decided to move in with my friend David. David was an extremely honest, hard-working person, never went to parties, he never slacked off, got drunk, high, and he was very dedicated to finishing college. In fact, he was one of the few kids I knew who wasn't getting onto the dark web regularly. I told him all about my experience with the deep web, and that's mostly why he agreed to let me stay with him. One night we were both up studying very late, as college kids do, when my phone went off. I looked to see who had texted me, and I saw the person sending the message had no number, just like the last time. It simply read, check your computer. There was nothing else to it, just the simple instruction. After a deep sigh, I opened my laptop, and when I did, I noticed that I didn't have control of my mouse. I tried to move the mouse, but it just moved on its own. Someone had remote access to my computer somehow. I never gave anyone access to my computer before. I tried a whole bunch of keyboard commands, but not a single one worked. I noticed whoever had control of my laptop was downloading a software, most likely a malware or spyware, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. I heard my phone go off again, and this time it said, look out your window. I was sitting right by the window, and I looked out, and there I saw a guy was referring to. He looked out, and I was sitting, and I saw a man in the parking lot, leaned up against a white van. He had his phone in his hand, and when I looked at him, he nodded. My phone went off again, and this time it says type in and hold down the Shift Alt Delete at the same time to activate the software. I called it to David in my room to show him what was going on. He seemed just as nervous as me, but the man outside our window, we didn't want to anger him. David called the police right away from his phone and told me that they would be there soon. I didn't activate the software, and I just sat there. Eventually, I got another text. I am coming in if you don't do it right now. I didn't know why, or the person that was in control of my computer, why they just didn't do it. But I didn't dare ask. And at the same time, I was 99% sure that this program was malware, spyware, or had something to do that would be very harmful to my computer, so I refused to activate it. David grabbed a baseball bat in case the man outside tried to come in. About 5 minutes later, we heard the door knob turning. It was locked, but we heard banging on the door. We both freaked out, and I looked out the window again. Sure enough, the man and the van were gone. The banging of the door got more and more violent until eventually we heard a horrible scratching sound. It lasted only a few minutes, and then we heard footsteps walk down the hall and eventually fade away. I received another text that said, "We will be back." That finally got to me. When the cops arrived, they told me to come look at my door. I followed them back out into the hallway and saw, engraved on my door, my name. The police began investigating the whole building. They even had a tech police officer come in and look at my computer. He began to do scans and investigate the weird software on my laptop. Eventually, he managed to close and remove it. He told me that my laptop still wasn't safe. He said the core files had been hacked and corrupted. He did a complete wipe of my computer and looked into my cell phone as well. Just like the last time, he couldn't tell where the messages were coming from, and told me that it would be best that they would put the cops nearby in case it happened again. The next day, I came home from school and was really tired because I hadn't slept much the night before. David wasn't home yet, so I went into my room and fell into the bed. Just as I was about to close my eyes, I heard a rattling sound in my closet. I lifted my head up, but I didn't hear it again, so I lay back down and went to sleep. After a few minutes, the closet door swung open. I leapt out of bed and saw a man with a mask walking over to me. I ran for the door and slammed it behind me. I ran out to the parking lot, started my car, and drove away as fast as I could. By the time the police arrived, the man, of course, was gone. The apartment, surprisingly, hadn't been wrecked or anything. We didn't even find anything stolen. He didn't seem to do anything at first. That night, 2 police officers were monitoring everyone who came in and out of the building in order to hopefully catch the man. I opened my laptop and noticed that my wallpaper had changed. It was a bunch of trees, but they were changing into a sickening photo of a man with a mask. And it was the same mask that I saw on the man who was in my closet. I also noticed that all my applications and my programs were gone. In the middle of my computer was a square, right in the middle. I clicked on it. Whatever it was had already been installed. Just like the last time, it filled the entire screen. What looked like to be a live stream going on. I couldn't exit out, and the live stream was coming from inside a young boy's house. He looked to be about 13 or 14, and he was sitting at his computer. It didn't take long for me to see that I was watching through the webcam, his webcam of his laptop. He had no idea. I saw a small chat box pop up in the right top of the screen, and in it people typed in the box, "Welcome to our live stream. We're glad everyone could be here. Thank you so much, John, for being here as well." My eyes opened very wide. My name was John, and they were waiting until I got there to start the live stream. As I watched, I saw the closet door behind the young boy slowly open, and a man walked out with a toolbox in his hand. He quietly set the toolbox down and pulled out some duct tape. The young boy was still at his laptop, doing whatever he was doing, not paying any attention. He went behind the kid and put the tape over his mouth and grabbed him tight. The poor kid's face was in total fear. He tried to scream, but couldn't because of the duct tape. They both were thrashing about and making a lot of noise, so it told me the kid must have been home alone. I again tried the exit and I couldn't. I then saw the man take out a screwdriver and lunge it into the child's chest. Blood began to pour out and the kid made an awful wheezing noise. I saw tears in his eyes as the sick man began to drive the screwdriver deeper and deeper and then yank it out. The man took a hammer and smashed the boy's hand several times until there was nothing but a mangled, bloody mess. I tried every command I could think of to exit out, but nothing happened. Nothing worked. I tried that in the chat box. Several people were cheering the man on and request him to do different things to the boy. The man then took out an electric saw, pressed it to the child's face, and turned it on. The boy screamed in pain, and as we were watching it, causing blood to go everywhere and get on the camera as well, I started to get tears in my eyes and I couldn't stop it. Then the man took out the screwdriver and gouged out the child's eyes, took out a large knife, and he proceeded to cut the child's throat and toss him on the ground. I was sick. I threw up all over the floor, and when I looked back at my computer, I saw in the chat box people were typing in horrible things, saying, "Oh my, that was wonderful. Thanks so much for doing this." Things like that. In the box, I saw someone named Culture045 said, "Thanks for watching, John." Smiley face. After that, the program closed all on its own, and I was left with a sickening wallpaper. I was sweating, breathing heavily, and feeling sick. Throughout the entire thing, I didn't realize that my cell phone had gone off several times. I now looked at it. The most hateful, mean messages were coming from my friends and my family. I asked my mom what was wrong, and she texted back, "You sent that sick, disturbing live stream to everyone. I can't believe you did that. The police have been called." I felt even more sick than before. Those monsters, they sent that live stream to all my friends and somehow made it come from me. They had pretty much ruined my life within a couple of minutes. When the police arrived, I told them everything that had happened, and quickly they managed to explain it to all of my friends and family. They finally cracked down finding these people, and a month later, 4 people were arrested. One was Culture045. The other was Admin 1, and the 2 others were working with them. The site was found and shut down as well. I got a new laptop and a new phone. I could say a horrible cliche here and say something like, "I keep my text," or kept hearing weird voices ever since. But nothing like that ever happened. They were arrested, and I never heard anything further. It's good to know that these men are in jail and perhaps even dead. But what scares me the most is all the other people that were watching the live stream. Those who were in it for pleasure, and they are still out there. So there are probably thousands of others, Culture045, all over the world. Sleep well. Bye-bye.